Hello.
Tonight we're just going to make a homemade apple tart and some shortbread. I'm going to show you. Is anybody cooking along with me tonight? Is everybody just sitting back and relaxing?
Yeah. Louise should be here because she's not here yet.
Louise always does.
Yeah.
So tonight I'm going to make a really easy apple tart to make. Okay. I'm going to make the pastry really quickly. I'm going to put it in the fridge, and then I'm going to make the shortbread. Because I need the oven. The shortbread has to be baked at a low oven. So I'm going to do the shortbread in the oven, and then we'll get the apple tart ready. Okay. So in here we have 8 ounces of plain flour. Okay. So I'm just going to sieve it. So the trick when you're making pastry is to have everything cold. Okay. So your hands have to be cold. The butter has to be kind of chilled. And then here I have 4 ounces. I'm using real butter here, okay? So I'm just going to put that in. So when you're making pastry, remember we made scones. It's kind of the same. You rub it in, okay? You rub the butter in with the flour, and you want it to be nice and light, okay? You want your pastry to be nice and light, okay? So we'll just rub the butter into the flour. Okay, and then we're going to put this into the fridge for probably 10-15 minutes. Now it says in the recipe an hour, so if you have loads of time, you can put it in for an hour. Okay, so we'll just rub it in. So it's half fat to the flour, so it's 8 ounces of flour and 4 ounces of butter. Okay, now if you want to double this recipe, you can. Okay, and make a couple of tarts. If Auntie make this house, 1 tart won't be enough. So just rub it in. You see the way it's kind of rubbed in. Okay, now with the scone mixture, we didn't put as much butter into the scone mixture, so this one is a bit heavier. The pastry is going to be heavy because we put half the quantity of the flour. Okay, and the scone recipe was just 2 ounces to 8 ounces. Okay, so it was a little bit lighter.
Joanne, did you take that butter out of the fridge?
Yeah, I had the butter out of the fridge, and it was just, you could stick your finger in it, okay? So it's kind of like, so it's easy enough to crumble in, you know? So if it's still a little bit hard, just kind of stick it in the microwave for like 5 seconds. Just, it'll give it a wee. Hello, Louise, are you cooking tonight?
Joanna, what have you started there?
Okay, we're just doing the pastry. So I have 8 ounces of self-raising flour, or plain flour, sorry, and 4 ounces of butter.
Yeah, I was going to, but I've just discovered that I've only got strong white flour and no plain flour. Can you?
No, you couldn't really use that for pastry.
No. So now the answer is no. I'm not cooking along.
Self-raising flour. You can use self-raising flour. It's just it'll be a little bit cakey. So you can use flour. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for it then. Thank you.
Okay. So then I have 3 ounces of sugar in this recipe as well, because it's a sweet pastry. Okay. It's a very sweet pastry. I'm just giving it a stir. Okay. And then I'm going to use 1 egg. I'm going to get one of my eggs here. So I'm just going to use 1 egg and a drop of milk as well, okay? So I'm just going to grab milk. My son, he set up for me. I need to break it up. Now I'm just going to add the milk into the egg, okay? And then we'll just give it a wee whisk. So I'm going to keep some of this egg for brushing the top of it, so I'm not going to use it all. Okay. So just put a hole in the middle and add your. So I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave some of the bottom of this cup. Okay. So I want to keep that for brushing the top of the pastry and the tart. Okay. So just mix it around. Okay. And I'm going to use a little bit more milk, a wee drop more milk, but not too much. You'll know yourself because you want it to come into a dough, so you don't want it to be too wet, okay? and just bring it all around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into the fridge. Now, actually, I've put too much in, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour just to make it a bit more drier. Loads of different things of flour. Yep. So if it's a little bit too wet, just add a wee bit of flour. Okay. And then you want it to into it like a wee dough. Can you see there? All right. Now, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to wrap it up in greaseproof paper. And I'm going to stick it in the fridge. And then fold it up. I'm just going to put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes. Just going to give your hands a quick wash here. So we get that into the fridge, and then I'm going to show you how to do the shortbread, and then we'll do the apple tart at the end. Okay, we get the shortbread in. Now I'm just going to use the same bowl. Okay, I'm just going to give it a wee wipe out, and I'm going to use the same bowl. So give me a second. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do then, and I have all my ingredients weighed out, okay? Be very organized tonight. So the next thing then I'm going to do is I'm going to do the shortbread, okay? So for the recipe for the shortbread, it's 150 grams of butter, 75 grams of sugar. So we're going to cream them together, okay? And then we're going to add the flour and the corn flour. So in here, I have 75 grams of sugar and 150 grams of butter. And the butter's kind of soft as well, okay? So you want your butter to be, you know, so you're able to work with it. If it's too hard, then it's no good, because it'll not cream, the butter and the sugar won't cream together. So if you just use the back of your spoon, okay? And this is the creaming method, okay? So you would use this for like cakes and stuff. You know, if you're making sponge cakes like Victoria sandwiches and that, you would use this as the creaming method for buns. Okay, so that other method that we did for the apple tart was the rubbing in method. And this is the creaming method. So you'll learn loads on this course. We'll all be experts at the end. Can everybody see me okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I can see you.
Great. So what you're doing is you're just trying to get the sugar, the crunch of the sugar. Whenever it disappears and your cream and your butter and your sugar is nice and smooth, and you can't hear the sugar crunching, then you know it's ready then, okay?
Your kids lick the bowl, Joanna?
They do, yeah.
Because I remember doing that. Mum used to bake a lot when we were kids, and we used to always love to lick the bowl or the spoon.
I know. They'd be fighting over it, Paula.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I have some corn flour, 75 grams of corn flour. Let's see, just corn flour, yeah. So I'm going to sieve together. I'm going to sieve this corn flour. All right, just to get the lumps out of it. I'm just doing it into a separate bowl. All right. Just get rid of all the wee lumps out of it. Now these are nice biscuits. Now I was going to get a shamrock cutter, but I couldn't find one. I usually have loads of cutters, but I couldn't find a shamrock cutter. I was going to make little shamrocks for tomorrow, but I couldn't find them. And then I have some flour here, okay? So We have 150 grams. This is plain flour. So Louise, I don't know whether you can make cookies with the self-raising flour. Now you just make the apple tart, okay?
Okay.
And then just dip that in the corn flour, okay? And then just make sure you get rid of all the lumps. All right. Just that over there. Then all you do then is just fold it in, okay? Fold all the flour and the corn flour into it. So you're making, this is another dough, we're making a dough as well, okay? But because of the ratio of the butter to the sugar and the flour, there's an awful lot of butter in this. So, and we're not using any liquid. With the pastry, we use liquid. So, with this, we're not using any liquid. So we're just going to bring it together in a ball. Because there's so much fat in it, so much butter in it, that's going to hold it together. Okay?
Joanna, Bridget says or asked, what type of butter do you recommend?
I just use, you know, Little do good butter. Little's butter is good, or whatever butter's on offer, because butter is very expensive. So I just shop around for the Dun's butter is good as well. But then I used to get Dun's butter in Marfelt. Remember, it was a food store in Marfelt. So before it closed, I bought loads of butter and I have it in the freezer. So I use Dun's butter as well.
Very good.
So yeah. And my mother-in-law, she has a supply as well in her freezer, so we're never stuck for butter in this house. So just use your hands, okay, and bring it together. Just push it together like that, okay. Now, as I was saying to you, the reason it's sticking together is because of the fat, the amount of butter in it, okay. So just bring it together in your hand, okay. And go around the sides and get all the wee bits off the side as well. All right. Now this makes a really nice light shortbread. So you could make this for any occasion. All right. Now, I'll just put this out of the road. Now I'm just going to get some more flour, just to flour my table, my counter. Okay, so sprinkle the flour. All right, and then push it down. Now I have my oven on 160 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to bake these while the pastry is kind of chilling in the fridge. Now I'm just going to get sheet of greaseproof paper for this tray. So I have a tray here. I'm just going to put just a wee sheet of greaseproof paper on the top. Okay, so keep it beside you. When you're doing this, I'll just get my rolling pin. When you're doing this, it's very very fragile. Okay, so you need to be careful when you're rolling it and when you're cutting it. So have your tray beside you. All right. And then you don't have to roll it too thin. Okay. Because you want it to have a nice, you know, when you pick up a piece of shortbread, it has to be kind of thick. So I'll show you now the thickness. I'll tell you what thickness will be. You don't want it too thin, because when you pick it up then when it's cooked, it'll just flop. So you want it to have a nice, you want it to be thick so it holds its shape. All right. Now I'm just going to put a little bit more flour. All right. And then just turn it over. Okay. Now it's a little bit dry, so if you want to push it together. Okay. Okay, so let me see how thick I'm going to do it. So probably just, let me see, just the size of my little nail, from the top of my finger just to the top of my nail, bottom of my nail, okay? That's just my little finger. I have small hands, so just use the size of your little nail. That should be it. Okay. So I have wee star cutters. I'll do them. And when you're doing it, remember the same as the scones. If it comes out on the cutter, you then just put it straight onto the tray. All right. And if not, well, it is lifting, so it's not so bad. Lift it on. I'll do 4 stars and I'll do circles. Oh. I'll do some of these wee circles as well. So thank God tomorrow's Paddy's Day. We get a treat day. We're allowed to eat something. Yeah.
Mind you, it's going to be a lovely day tomorrow, and the Stormont didn't say you could go too far, like, so.
Yeah.
That's a bit disappointing.
Sitting in their gardens tomorrow.
Yeah.
My son's looking at barbecue.
Well, it's going to be lovely tomorrow, apparently. So.
It was lovely today, wasn't it?
It was.
It was so nice. So warm as well. Compared to this day last week was freezing cold.
That's true.
Because we were giving out, because our heating wasn't working and we were all freezing. And now it's working again and now it's roasting. So that's the worst.
Do you know, if your heating went out and you didn't know about it, you wouldn't be cold. But as soon as you know it's out, as soon as you know you've run out of oil, you get cold, don't you?
That's it. We're spoiled. So I'm just spreading them out a bit, okay, on the tray. Don't put too close to each other. Okay. And as I said, I have the oven at 160 degrees. So now if you're making these with the kids, you can do different shapes, you know.
How many have you there, Joanna?
Sorry?
How many have you there in total?
I have 3, 6, 9, 12. I get about 14 out of it, but I've done little stars. I've done wee stars. Yeah. So you'd probably get about 12 out of it, you know, 12 that shape.
Yeah.
So. That's a big tray that I'm using anyway. So 4, 8, 13, 14. Yeah, so I've got about 15. Well, these are little stars. All right. So I'm going to put them in the oven now at 160 degrees for, I think it's 15 minutes. No, it's 20 minutes actually. That'll give us time to do the. Okay, so I'll put them on for 20 minutes. That should do. And then I'm going to chop the apples. Does anybody make their own apple tarts?
Yes, sometimes I have. This is Pamela. I've made them.
Oh, yeah, Pamela. Do you chop your apples now, or do you? Would you chop stew your apples first?
Well, that's what I was coming on here. Actually, one of the things that I was. I have done both, and they both turned out okay.
Yeah. No, this one here, I'm just going to peel the apples now. These are really big apples.
Yeah,
they're like
the last one I done. I just did them, just sliced them and put them on the pastry. But the time before, I did them and then added a wee bit of corn flour. So because I didn't know which is the best to do. So I've done both ways.
Yeah, well, I just usually slice them, and I've peeled them already, okay, and I put some lemon juice on them. So when you're peeling them, I just take the middle out, okay.
Sometimes, Joanne, I would not that I wouldn't like offer you a bit of my apple tart, but it's okay. I think to people who don't know any different. But anyway, that's beside the point. Joanne, another time I would stick them, depending on the time I had, into the microwave and do them like sort of, not cook them right through, but do them and make them a wee bit soft so it hurries them up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's probably not a good idea.
But when I'm doing mine, I just slice them kind of thinly, okay? I put them into like little cubes. So So they cook in the oven, they cook, you know,
Yeah,
with the pastry. So
yeah.
I never stew them, to be honest.
No. But
As long as you cut them cut them into nice thin slices and into thin kind of dice, you know.
Yeah.
Don't leave them. Some people make the mistake of putting in too big and then the apple is raw in the middle, you know.
Yeah. But you know, there's nothing I think is nice as an apple tart. Maybe it reminds me of my mother's, God have mercy on her apple tarts, but she would have just sliced them thinly and put them on. And I love a piece of apple tart that you can see the slices, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
I hate the apple tarts. You know, the ones that you buy out, and they're like commercial cubes, like, and they're horrible the way they do the apples in them.
Yeah, and they're like done in the syrup.
Aye.
Yeah, I know, they're horrible. A lot of that stuff is just out of a tin. They use like tinned apples.
probably.
Yeah. So if you just
Some of them have very little apple in them.
if you put your apple just quite thin and then slice it.
Some of them have very little apple in them too.
Might have too much apple for this now, but I'll just use whatever, you know. So I just use a plate when I'm making an apple tart, you know. A good large plate and a good oven proof plate. I use one of them. I have a pie dish, but I actually have a pie in it from last night. So I made a pie on another workshop, but I made like a beef and Guinness pie last night. So it's still on because we're having it for dinner tonight.
Okay.
So whenever you do this, put your sugar on top, okay? Put your sugar. Just a bit of sugar and a bit of lemon. Okay? And then it stops it going black while you're waiting on your pastry. And I'm just going to put a wee bit of water in it as well, okay? Just a wee bit. And then just give it a stir. Just as the lemon stops the apples going black while you're waiting. Okay?
Joanne, have you any secrets of how you keep the juice from running out of your apple tart? You know, whenever it starts to cook, you know the way the juice.
You can sprinkle a little bit of corn flour in it as well if they're really juicy. But I find rhubarb is the worst for that because rhubarb is really juicy. So if you're doing rhubarb,
somebody told me
sorry, go ahead.
Somebody told me a tip for rhubarb. You know, whenever you put sugar in it and you slice it, say, in advance, and you want it just to be ready for your tart, just put sugar on it, no water, and then that seeps all the excess juice out of it in advance.
Yeah.
Just the sugar.
I don't really use much in the tart. I'm just putting a little bit on it there just while I'm waiting on the pastry.
Joanne,
usually there is enough juice or apples. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm probably talking over somebody else as usual, but the corn flour, whenever you put it on, do you put it on the top of the apples or on the pastry, on the base before you put it?
Just on the base. Just sprinkle it on the base.
On the base, because I have tried that, but I don't know, and I would never put water. I would just put, the way I would do it, I'd put my apples on and then sprinkle the sugar over the apples and then put my lid on, as I would call it, put the top on, and then
I have to put more sugar on it, I just put a little bit of sugar on it now and I'll put more sugar on it when it's on the plate.
Yeah, I would put more on then too, but still the juice is running all over the show. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I don't seal it enough or something, I don't know. Or the plates maybe.
Yeah, maybe your pastry is too thin as well. If your pastry is too thin, it won't, your pastry has to be kind of thick on the bottom so the juice doesn't run out through the pastry,
I must try.
And if you cook it at a high temperature, then the pastry will like seal it, and then it seals it in. And if if you're putting the lid on it, you have to make sure that there's no, like, you know, there's no gaps or anything, just the wee hole in the middle for the steam,
Yeah.
you know, and that'll stop it.
Thank you.
So just give me a second till I get this out. So there's the pastry. Now I'm going to use a good plate here, and I'm going to put in some of my, wait, let's see where I left my butter. Hang on a second till I just grab the butter. Here we are. So the good fashioned way, piece of your paper, you know, your butter paper, and rub it all around it, okay? And go right out to the edge. Okay. And grease it really well because you don't want it to stick. All right. Now I'm just going to get more flour. I have flour here somewhere. Just going to put this. So I'll leave that over there. I'll leave that plate sitting there. And then just flour your space. And then take your pastry. Okay, so you want the biggest part of it on the bottom. Okay, so just take the biggest part for the bottom. Just leave that sitting there. Okay, and then just put a little bit more flour. Just be careful when you're adding all the milk, when you're adding your wet ingredients to it, that you don't add too much, okay? Because this is a really, really soft pastry, because there's so much butter in it, you have to be careful. So when you're using your rolling pin, cover it with flour, okay? And then just keep turning it, okay? Make sure it's low, there's loads of flour on it, and keep turning it. Now, if you leave it in for an hour, it actually will roll a lot better for you. Or if you leave it in overnight, you know. So just keep turning it and add more flour, okay? And just be really gentle, hold it and twist it, okay? And get it into all the flour. Make sure there's loads of flour. Now, not too much flour because you don't want it to dry out, but just enough flour so you can lift it and you can move it, okay? Now, just roll it one more time. So you want to figure down the plate, okay? Just roll it another wee bit. Just roll it another wee bit. And then what you do then is roll it back, okay? Roll it back. It's come off, so it's not so bad. And then lift it with your rolling pin and roll it back onto the plate, okay? Now, I'm just going to fix it. It's a type of pastry that you can fix, okay? You can push it in and fill in the gaps. Now, it's a bit soft. I probably should have had one ready beforehand and showed you, but you get the idea. Just keep it in your fridge for an hour and it'll be really easy to manage, okay? And then just shape it out, okay? So I'm just going to use another little bit of this. Just going to roll this.
Joanna, sorry.
Yeah.
Joanna, can you leave it overnight, or do you have to use it after an hour?
Overnight's ideal.
Okay.
Yeah, overnight's ideal. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Or you can put it in the freezer, Louise. You can freeze it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And then just go around it. Put your hand under the bottom and then go around it with a really sharp knife. Okay. And then gather up all the wee bits. Now it's really soft pastry. I'm just going to gather up all these wee bits for the top of it, okay? Now just leave that sitting over there. All right. Now just give me a hand in that, like washing hands. They're quite sticky. I'm just checking the shortbread looks lovely. It's coming on really well. Okay, so then what I'm going to do now is take a big spoon. I mightn't even need all these apples, okay? Now, if you like cinnamon, you can put your cinnamon on as well, okay? So if there's any water, just shake it off, because you'll get enough water from the juice of the apples, okay? And if I do this, I sometimes just splash a little bit of water on it anyway, just to create a little bit of steam. But there is a little bit of water on these now. Not too much now. So, them cooking apples in it. It said in the recipe, I had 2 large cooking apples, but they were like extra large. They were like melons the size of them. All right, so that's plenty there. Then I'm going to add the rest of the sugar. Okay. So if you like cinnamon or cloves, you can add cinnamon and cloves to it. But they don't really like it here, so I'm just going to use sugar and apples. And then sprinkle your sugar all over it, okay? Now, as you can see from the recipe, there's quite a lot of sugar in the pastry, and there's quite a lot of sugar. So you can just judge it yourself, okay, how much sugar. You can taste them, and then if they're really bitter, you can add a little bit more. So I'm just going to leave that there. And then we'll get the rest of this rolled out. Yeah, so sorry, another trick then is getting your glass of water and go around the sides. And just a wee drop on your middle finger, and then just touch the sides, because you want the pastry to be able to stick when you roll out the lid, okay? So do that now, and then you can roll it out. And then just really gentle. So the trick when you're doing pastry is to be really, really gentle with it, okay? Now, so a bit more flour for the top. And try and get it all your wee bits in. Okay, so that just makes 1 apple tart, but if you want to double the recipe, then you can get 2 tarts, or if you want to make a big pie, you know, like in a big pie dish, you could do that as well. Okay, so same thing, plenty of flour, and then just keep turning it. This is the first thing I ever learned to make from my granny. She showed me how to make apple tarts every Sunday. She used to make for dinner, for after dinner, you know. So just make sure you have enough. I'll flip it over a little bit. Okay, now you don't need the bottom one has to be a little bit thicker than the top, okay? Because it's going to soak up the apples. Now that should be big enough. So same thing, I'm going to flour that. Now if I had a bigger rolling pin would probably be better. Now but because I've wet this, then you can lift it on, okay, and roll it over. And use your rolling pin as instead of lifting it yourself. But you'll find if you leave it in the fridge for a few hours or overnight, it's really much more easier to manage. So what you want to do now, okay, is get your 2 thumbs and dip them in the flour. Okay, always have a little extra bowl of flour beside you. Okay, and then just pinch with your thumb, and you want to make like a wee crust. Okay, and go around. Sharp, hold it up, and then just put it away from you. Always put away from you. Okay. And we still have quite a little bit of pastry left over, so I'll do a little. I have some of the egg wash as well here. Okay. So I'm gonna use a little bit of egg wash. Gently do it. Go around the sides. Okay. Just be really careful when you're doing it that you don't rip the pastry. Okay. And then that just gives it a nice golden color, nice golden brown color. Okay. Whenever it comes out of the oven. And be really careful when you're brushing on that you don't hold the pastry. Just go really gently, okay? Because you don't want any holes in the pastry. You're just going to put a few little fork marks in it just to let a little bit of steam out of it when it's cooked, okay? So that should do it now. Don't make it too wet, okay? You don't want it too wet. And then I'm just going to get my fork and just about 6 pricks with the fork. Then let's the air out, okay? Now some people like to put a bit of sugar on the top, so I'll sprinkle a wee little bit of sugar on the top as well. That gives it a nice crunch. And I'm going to use one of these wee cutters here. I'm going to put like a wee star on it, okay? A couple of stars. Put them in the middle. All right? And then just brush them as well. So whatever shapes you have, if you have different shapes, if you're lucky enough to have like shamrock cutter for tomorrow, you could use that. Or if you have grandchildren or children and they like, you know, animals and you have animal cutters, you could do that as well, just to make it look a bit. And just use up all your pastry, don't waste it. All right. And that's it there. So I'm just putting on 4 wee stars, and then I'm just going to give them a wee coat, the egg, and stick them in the oven, okay? So I'm going to wait till these are ready, because that won't, let me see, I have 1 minute left. So the shortbread is ready, okay? So I'm just taking the shortbread out. I'm actually going to stick it in this oven just for 2 minutes because I still have 2 minutes left. And I'm going to stick it in this oven because I want to turn up that oven there for the apple tart. I'm just going to let that finish in this oven for about 2 minutes. And then for the apple tart, it says, yeah, 180 gas mark 6 for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to put that in now. Okay, so the apple tart's in now. And I'm just going to cook them out for another few minutes. So if we any more, I'm going to have a look at this now when I clean this island.
I made the treacle bread today, Joanna, Pamela here. I made the treacle bread. Turned out lovely.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
It is very nice, isn't it? It's nice, moist.
Yeah, I haven't eaten it. I just it's sitting there, so I'll have it for lunch tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
I didn't taste it yet.
Yeah, and it lasts a couple of days, Pamela.
Yeah.
Pamela, do you have any pics of it? Have you any photos?
Yes.
No, don't be afraid to send, because Louise sent me a picture last week that she did her bread. I must see if I can find it here.
And where will I send it?
Send it to me, paula@nerwin.org, or you could even send it to Anne-Marie. You know Anne-Marie that sends you out the links? She's info@nerwin.org. If you send it to her, I can pop them in our next e-zine, or I can put them up on our Facebook.
Okay, hold on to take that email address. Info.
I'll tell you what, I'll put my email address in the chat, paula@nerwin, NIRWN.org. Or if you just reply to Anne-Marie's, she sends you out the links every week and the recipes. So if you just reply to her, but
okay.
Joanna, can I show that flyer now that I was talking about?
Sorry?
Joanna, can I show that flyer that I was talking about earlier?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I'm just going to share the screen with you all here, if I can. Now, where is it? Oh, Lord, I can't find it.
Joanna, whenever you're demonstrating, do you have your phone in front of you, or is it your laptop or what? Because you,
Yeah,
it's
I
always a
have
good position.
I have a ring light with a phone attachment to it, so I video with my phone camera, and then I attach my laptop to my TV. So
All
I
right.
have a laptop here, so I can chat to you on the laptop. Then it comes up on the TV and I can see everybody, you know. So
All right.
Can
yeah.
you all see that
Yep,
I'm sharing the screen? Can you all see
Yes.
it?
Yes.
My manager Louise sent me this today, and she said share it with you at the cookery class tonight. Paddy's Weekend Kitchen. It's a digital food festival. It's big telly productions and the departments of communities and whatever, and the Heritage Fund. It's on Saturday the 20th and 21st, Sunday the 21st of March. So it's a bit of I don't know what it is. It's a cookery demonstration or something, but the tickets are available. It says you have to email bigtellytheatrecompany@gmail.com, and because there's no website to go to, I don't think so. But I'll put their email into the chat box, or if you want to jot it down, just bigtellytheatrecompany@gmail.com if you're interested in it. I think Big Telly have a website, so there might be more information on that. But it looks like something that might be interesting. So
Yeah.
that's not this weekend, but the next weekend. So anybody is interested, just go to that Big Telly.
And Paula McIntyre is usually very good, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a theatre.
So that'd be something worth going along if you aren't. It says there's stories, local food, music, heritage, cook along. So might be interested if you want.
Yeah.
So also, hold on, I had something.
So the 21st is this weekend.
Is that?
Oh, I know it is that weekend. Oh, that is this weekend.
Is that this weekend? It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's me thinking it was next weekend. It's this weekend, yeah. So it's all free to go to, so you might as well pop along to it if you can. I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah, that would be great. See, they're doing an afternoon tea.
Yeah. But I can't wait till we come out and get a proper afternoon tea again.
Yeah.
The kids are all back in school now next Monday.
Aye, that's the only thing that's changed, really.
Yeah. So the shortbread, as you can see, is the way it's nice size, but I'm not touching it. When you take it out of the oven, you have to leave it sitting for about 5 or 6 or maybe 10 minutes, and then it goes hard, and then you're able to lift it and put it onto one of the, which I'm going to get now, a wee tray. Okay.
No water hairdressers today, Paula. I didn't see the use. No.
I did my roots last night because they were that bad. Even my daughter says to me, "Mummy, I've never seen your hair as grey. It was white lumps. If the wind had blown my hair, honest to God." So I did 2 packs of root retouch on it, but I can't wait to get to a hairdresser. I really can't.
Yeah. I always see mine so bad when I look in the camera. You can see the white bits.
But yours looks great at the minute now.
Yours is nice and short, Joanna.
Well, that's long. I usually have a little bit shorter, but it's all right. I can manage it myself now.
I can't see out of mine at all.
I see you, Hillary. Hillary, there's a YouTube videos on how to cut your fringe. I've tried it myself.
No, I think I wear a hat when I go out.
Oh, you're not so bad then. A big clip even.
Yeah. Mary's not showing us her camera tonight.
Sorry?
I said Mary's not showing us her camera tonight. She's not showing.
She's hiding the night.
Oh,
no, there she is. Oh, she popped on. She's away.
What's happened there? But I don't know what's happening here. It's not me, like it's something wrong with this computer or this laptop. No, my grand. Oh, good. I don't know where I've gone to now. I'm away.
Sorry, Mary, Joanna, there's a couple of questions in the chat there.
I said I got new glasses and they're very focal, so I'm looking at the screen, but I have to kind of stand back because.
Do you want me to read it out to you?
Yeah, do, if you don't mind.
It's a question from Patricia, and it says, this was after the shortbread, I think, if one tray was small, could you put in twice, or would it do the shortbread harm if left over and cooked when the first batch comes out?
No, that's okay. Just cut out what you're going to use and put them in the oven, and then do the other batch whenever they come out. Yeah, that's okay.
Right.
That's no problem. Just if you want to keep your dough in the fridge, you know, if you cut half your dough and bake it, and then put the other half in when it comes out, just keep it in the fridge, and then it'll roll better for you.
Right.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question, Patricia.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only question in the chat that's left there. Unless anybody wants to ask something, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, with the shortbread, can you just melt some chocolate and pour it over it too once they cool?
I'm going to do that now. I'm going to melt some chocolate. I have my son actually making some of this here. It's just like ice and sugar with green food colouring. He was making this before we came on. So I'm just going to like dip them whenever they're cold. So once you can lift them off the tray, you can put them onto. But whenever they come out of the oven, you have to be really careful that you don't just lift them off the tray; they'll just break on you. So if you want to just lift them with a wee lifter, okay. And these are lovely. These shortbreads, they last for ages.
They look gorgeous.
You put them in a tin, and they last for ages. Once they're cold. And yeah, you could use melted chocolate. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to melt some chocolate now, and you can do melted chocolate, and you can do melted white chocolate or different coloured icings. So I'm just going to set them back onto that there, and then let them cool down just for 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just going to grab some chocolate here.
They're gorgeous.
I love shortbread.
Oh, me too, Joanne. I could eat that whole tray of it.
I always buy a tin of shortbread at Christmas and eat it all myself.
Yeah.
No, funny enough, I don't. Unless you get the real butter stuff, I think the homemade stuff is far nicer.
It's very sweet, very sugary. Some of it.
I know that.
I love it.
Me too. Anything's bad for you.
Oh,
Exactly. That's what a brother of mine used to say. It's cruel because he said anything that you love, it's either not good for you, it makes you fat, or it's improper. So,
but that's why we love it, isn't it?
isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's illegal. No, what he said, I'm getting it wrong. He used to say it's illegal, it's immoral, or it makes you fat. Lovely.
I'm just breaking up some chocolate here.
Is that cooking chocolate or is that just ordinary chocolate?
Chocolate, yeah. I have to hide it. I have to hide from the winds.
I'd say.
Anything that has chocolate does not. Do it in the microwave really slowly. So when you're melting chocolate in the microwave, just do it for like 20 seconds and then stir it, and then 20 seconds again. Because a lot of people make the mistake and they put it in and they leave it for a minute and then it just burns. So the trick is just to heat and stir and heat and stir, okay?
Yep.
And because I'm only using a little bit, if you want, you can use a pot, okay? If you're melting chocolate, put a pot with boiling water, and then put a bowl over, sit the bowl over the pot, and make sure it's not touching the water. You just want the steam to hit it, okay? And then it melts the chocolate for you. So
I'm just looking to see what we're making next week. Jam with coconut sponge and cornflake tart.
Oh, lovely. It's like school dinners.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah, cornflake crunch or cornflake tart for next week. Now you can also use these for this recipe for if you're looking for an activity with your children. See these here. These are great. They're just out of I think these are Sainsbury's. They're just like little coloured icings, okay? And they're little, like bright and nice.
Oh, lovely.
Coloured bright and nice and stuff, So you can do I'll do a green one for tomorrow. Some of them you have to cook. Oh, these aren't. These are okay. So I'll just leave them for a minute because they're still a little bit hot. And I'm just going to get the chocolate here. So it's nearly ready, but you just don't want to leave it on too hot for too long because then it burns the sugar and the chocolate will just crystallize.
Hold on.
Sorry, Joanna, I know you said before, is that cooking chocolate?
This is cooking chocolate, Mary, yeah?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Sorry, I know you said, but I missed. Yes, lovely. Yeah.
No, Mary, I'm saying when you're doing it, heat it in the microwave, you can do it for 20 seconds and stir another 20 seconds. If you put it on for a minute, it will just burn it. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm just going to give it a stir. I'll just get a wee plate out. That's it now, okay? So it's nice and soft. All right. So if you want to if you just want to cover half of your chocolate, just make sure it's all melted, and then just cover half of your biscuits. Okay, you just do half of it. All right, just like that. Or you can do like a chocolate star. Just dip it in. Okay. Now always keep when you're dipping. Always keep like a sheet of greaseproof underneath so it catches all the drips. Okay. So you've chocolate shortbread. All right. We'll do another one. Chocolate stars. Now, if you have, I'd like to describe. I have like wee sprinkles. Put some of them on as well. So if you want to add some of these to your biscuit, okay, and they're just out of Tesco's. You know those little these ones here. You can make your own little biscuits. See them?
Great.
All right. Or you can just sprinkle a few on top of your stars. It's just a good activity for the kids. You know, if you're looking something to do over the Easter holidays or the grandchildren come over when they eventually all come back, you can do this with them. It's really easy. All right. And then I'll just do. So this here is just icing. It's just like icing sugar with a drip. I'm actually going to put some more into it because it's a bit runny. Let me see. I'm just going to grab a little bit more icing sugar because I think it's too runny. So just add a wee bit more, just a wee bit more to it. You don't want it too runny because then it won't set on your biscuit. All right. So see the way it's nice and thick now? And then I'll do a few. And then just run it over it like that. Just use the back of the spoon. Okay. And then just sit it down and it'll just set, it should just set. Okay. Let's do another little bit. Now you can also buy rollout ice. Do you know the rollout ice you can buy? It's like a dough. It's all different colors. So you can buy that in Tesco's or Sainsbury's or Asda. And you can roll out and you can use little cutters or you can make little designs for it as well. Okay. Now, just leave down there. I'll do a couple of green stars. So I'm actually just dip it in easier. All right. And just go out to the sides. I'll just do another one. Do one more for a good look. And then I'll leave some plain because some people just like them nice and like nice plain biscuits. All right. Now you can also just use plain white ice, and if you want to just ice some, you know, white. Let's try the helms here. And I also have some of these little chocolate balls here. I'm going to put some of them on top of them. Sprinkle the chocolate and white chocolate and dark chocolate, kind of wee balls. Decorate them with that. All right.
They look great, Joanna.
Yeah. So, and then I'm just going to do one. I'm going to write on one of them, two of them. Okay, I'll do like a wee shamrock if I can. I'll do like a wee shamrock cookie just for tomorrow. And then do the shape of the shamrock. All right, and then you can fill it in. And you can use these are great for kids for writing. You know, you can even buy a packet of biscuits and buy these and let them work away. Keeps them busy for hours. Doing their own little designs. All right, so there's your little shamrock.
Oh, that's great. Very artistic.
Very artistic. I'm not very artistic. I'm not really, art is not one of my best subjects now, I have to say. But I'll try my best. Yeah, I'll do one more.
Patricia's just put in the chat there that she says, thanks, Joan. I always wanted to try to make shortbread, but something, I think it was fear, held me back. Now she can't wait to give it a try.
Oh, brilliant. That's
great.
Good. Yeah, I know a lot of us are afraid, you know, you always think, oh, I'll never be able to do that, you know.
I always thought there'd be more to it than that. It seems straightforward enough, like, you know,
Yeah,
something so yummy.
Quite simple. I've got chocolate everywhere. The apple tart's coming on now. It should be ready now in 2 minutes. So, I'll do a red one. I get carried away here now. So you can just do like, if you're doing these, you know, with the kids, you can just do like, follow the shape of the cookie, and then you can design them. You know, do that, and then they can fill them in.
Yeah.
A good way, like you can do like wee faces with them. Oh, when I see, if you put this on, then then the sprinkles will stick to it. So you can do like a face, you know, and then if you put your sprinkles on it, then put a few sprinkles, then they'll stick to it, you know, and then you can shake them off. All right, but just to give you the ideas, just a few ideas, just for, you know, different things that you can do. I think the apple tart's nearly ready. So these probably won't last about 5 minutes now in this house.
I'll bet.
I'll just put them out and then I'll take a wee picture of them. Louise, how did your apple tart come on?
Sorry, Joanna, I've just put the pastry in the fridge. I'm going to make it tomorrow, I think.
All right, that's grand. Yeah, you'll probably be able to manage it. My kitchen's quite warm because I found it beside that agate and it's quite warm, you see.
Yeah.
So my pastry was kind of hard to manage, you know. So
mine seemed quite wet when I put it into the fridge.
Did it? Yeah, it'll firm up. It should firm up. And if it doesn't, just keep adding flour. Add a bit more flour to it, okay?
Yeah.
Just be careful when you're rolling it. If you have a large rolling pin,
yeah, okay.
Use a large rolling pin, okay?
And Joanna, sorry, did you say to have the pastry a wee bit thicker on the bottom and then roll it out a bit larger for the top? Is that right?
You'll probably need more for the bottom because you need to keep it
more for the bottom.
And then the top of it is just really a layer. You don't need, so if you're cutting it in half, do a bigger half for the bottom, you know, and then because you want to keep it a little bit thick.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Just for whenever you were saying about the apple, you need it soaked in. So you need the apple. You need a heavy thickness, you know, to soak it in. I'm just going to check this here. Yeah, that's lovely. That's ready now.
Oh, lovely. Beautiful.
Now I think my plate might be too big, so well, maybe because the pastry was like, you know, it was hard to manage. I think it should be a little bit thicker, but if you leave your pastry in the fridge, it definitely will be easier to manage. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more sugar while it's hot. Just sprinkle your sugar on it while it's hot, okay? And if you can use caster sugar, fine caster sugar. Okay, so I hope there's nobody on the diet. I hope there's nobody on a diet.
Is your plate Peric's plate?
Yeah, I yeah.
Yeah, you never see them now anywhere. I haven't, you know, from Eggleston's closed in Cookstown. They used to be.
You know where you can get them. You can get them in Sainsbury's. They have a great homeware selection.
Oh, good.
Sainsbury's and Dungannon have a really good selection.
Yeah, that's good. I like Sainsbury's.
No. So,
thank you.
So there you go. There's the apple tart and there's the shortbread.
It's just beautiful.
But yeah, it smells lovely, Joanna.
I know. Wouldn't we all love a wee slice?
Oh, I'd love a slice.
Yeah, Patricia.
A big double of cream.
Yeah, I use caster sugar for bacon. I tend to use caster sugar, okay? If you haven't got caster sugar, you can use granulated sugar, but you'll find it's a finer sugar. So I think it's easier to manage, because if you're making pastry and you're putting sugar in it, then it's quite crunchy, you know, when you're rolling it out. So for the smooth texture of the pastry, you probably need caster sugar as well. Okay. I know when I make mince pies at Christmas, I would use icing sugar instead of caster sugar, so that's another option to do as well. But that'll be really, really short pastry, you know. Yeah. It's a bit like this, you know, because there's not much liquid in pastry I make for mince pies. It's a bit like shortbread pastry, you know, because there's a lot of butter in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there you go. That's the apple tarts. It smells lovely. I keep it warm.
So next week we've got jam sponge then, and cornflake cake. That'll be good. Yeah. Thanks, Joanna. That was great. I'll be putting this up on our YouTube channel as well. And if anybody makes anything, don't be afraid to send us some photographs, because I'll be putting out a wee easy in a couple of weeks. So I wouldn't mind putting a few photos of your creations in, if possible. So
I'll send my soda farms as well. I did them.
Brilliant. And Louise sent me her bread last week, and sodas was lovely. So
yeah. Well, that's good. Use it all whenever this is over. Anyway, you have all the videos, you have all the recipes, so you can work away in your own time.
Yeah.
You know, no pressure to be doing it while, you know, when we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's just for afterwards. You'll always have it, you know, so you can look back on the videos.
Exactly.
All right.
Thanks, Joanna, and I'll see you all next week.
It was lovely, Joanna. Thank you. Enjoy your day off. And tomorrow.
Everyone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy St. Paddy's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye now.